I'm Ed Levine, and I'm here at Stone Barns, a combination working farm and restaurant. And I want my friends here to tell us more about this thing called colony collapse disorder and why we should all care so much about honeybees.
So the bee's job in nature, besides making honey, is pollinating the flowers for all fruiting crops. So the honeybee goes down inside and takes a sip of nectar, and in that action bumps around and moves the flower parts enough so that pollination can take place. At that point, the petals fall off and the fruit ripens. And that bee takes that nectar back and turns that into honey.
It's full of honey.
Thinking about the great pastry, a great dessert is you have to put a lot of effort, a lot of love in there. Also very important are ingredients. Ingredients are very important for the product, for the final dessert. A lot of my desserts are relied on fruits and relied on bees, of course, because otherwise we wouldn't have this fruit.
Without the honeybee, we wouldn't have strawberries, or apples, or almonds, or squash, or grapes, or cucumbers, or most any vegetable in the garden. So to protect the honeybee is to also protect all that fruit and all those vegetables that we eat.
It's estimated that about 1 out of every 3 mouthfuls of food comes from plants pollinated by honeybees. Without honeybees, many of these crops would be greatly diminished in value or non-existent. 1/3 of commercially raised honeybees have died in the past year due to colony collapse disorder. Colony collapse disorder is simply an absence of bees. A beekeeper goes out to examine his hives, he opens it up and finds very few or no bees. There are no dead bees, and there are very few, if any, live bees.
With colony collapse disorder, the bees don't find their way back to the hive, and thus don't make more honey, don't make more bees, and don't get out to pollinate again, and that hive will then collapse on itself because it can't sustain its existence. So a collapsed colony is just an empty hive. The bees are gone and the queen is left to die, and that's the end of the story. Because it's a new disorder and disease, it hasn't been completely identified, the sources of it. Some
unproven theories about the possible cause of this include new bacteria or viruses that have been introduced to the United States. Some people believe it could be some kind of pest that hasn't been identified yet. It could just be the stress of modern commercial beekeeping practices. It's just an unknown. It's a mystery out there, and I could walk out to examine my hives tomorrow and find my bees gone.
If we allow the mass distinction, if we allow this to happen, for whatever the causes are, if we allow the extinction of bees and we allow colony collapse to continue, we're talking about the extinction of tastes and flavors of vegetables and fruits and nuts that have become staples in our diet. The work of the honeybee is not just the delicious honey that it produces, but the pollination of a myriad of fruits and nuts. And that's no small occurrence for the state of agriculture in this country and the rest of the world. Albert Einstein pronouncement that if there were no honeybees within 4 years, we would all be dead. Which is to say nothing about honey, but to say that the role of the honeybee is to create the vegetables, the fruits, and all of the nuts that couldn't be produced, at least economically, viably, couldn't be produced without their work. What strikes me about the brilliance of the work of the honeybees is a reminder of the work that all agriculture does when it's working right. And what the honeybees' work reminds us of is that it's all connected, and that we can't, as a chef or as a family or as an individual eater, parse out how we want clean food to work, that you cannot disassociate one thing from the other. And so that's my appreciation of honeybee. It reminds me of the work that they all do, connected to the work that the farm is doing.
Fresh from the honeybee.